Hey guys, Zane here with another one-take review, and today I wanted to talk about the Dan Fogelberg album, Captured Angel. Albums like Captured Angel and artists like Dan Fogelberg are a very 50-50 mixed bag for me. This folk, pop, country, rock, soft rock kind of sound, whatever you want to call it, this sort of undefinable but still very apparent and specific sound of the early 70s. It's something that tears me very much as a music listener, because on one hand you have artists like Jackson Browne and Cat Stevens who made some amazing music. They were powerful songwriters who were very moving in their music, and their discographies, they still managed to be pretty high quality in the current day, decades after their artistic peaks. But then you also have musicians like James Taylor and Carole King, who would probably put me to sleep faster than a steel pipe to the head would. So either which way, you've got some good and you've got some bad, and I mean, unfortunately, Dan Fogelberg is just never in the good once, really. Similar to his fellow bore you to tears soft pop rock kind of artists, Dan Fogelberg is just completely devoid of any sort of personality or uniqueness as a performer. Even tracks where Captured Angel forces him to be more energetic and more lively, he still feels like he's just phoning in every single line, and it's not even like this was his, commercial sellout album or whatever you want to call it. It's not like it was. This was just a regular Dan Fogelberg album. This is just how he performed. It was just lifeless and, again, just completely lacking in any sort of uniqueness or personality. There is not a single ounce of exaggeration in my words when I say that Captured Angel as an album failed to even remotely make any sort of impact on me the first time that I listened to it, and that is really just impressive. It's a very impressive feat, because even the worst, most dumpster fire-esque albums that you will ever hear generally have at least a passage or something of the like that is memorable to some extent. I mean, no one's gonna forget My Pal Foot Foot by The Shags, no one's gonna forget Go For It by Corey Feldman, no one's gonna forget Summer in Paradise by the Beach Boys, but I think that everybody could forget Captured Angel by Dan Fogelberg. It's albums like Captured Angel that make me wish that more bad music was at least fun bad, like Didi Ramone leaving the Ramones and changing his name to Didi King and then rapping in German about how he's German. That was god-awful, don't get me wrong, but I mean, at least it was fun, This is just not even fun. Captured Angel's a slog to get through, and even after several listens, still really doesn't have any sort of particular impact on me, and the only thing that I can say about it is that this record makes me feel absolutely nothing. Dan Fogelberg is an entirely unnoteworthy vocalist that just completely lacks any sense of charisma, which ultimately contributes but isn't entirely to blame for the downfall and lack of memorability of Captured Angel. Fogelberg's voice isn't entirely the blame, however, as instrumentally, the record is just as bland and forgettable. The only half-decent instrumental on the entirety of Captured Angel is the opening track, Aspen/These Days, and from there, it's just all downhill. Take a track like Old Tennessee, for example. It is a song that is a very warm, acoustic, ballady type track that obviously tries to create some sort of very nostalgic atmosphere that's meant to just move you on a personal level and really make you feel like you are from Old Tennessee. However, that song ends up just coming across as cheesy, unremarkable, maybe slightly comedic, based entirely off of the fact that it's totally unaware of how much it's failing to do what it's setting out to do, and that can pretty much sum up the entire album, if I'm being honest. The instrumentals on Captured Angel are largely dull and, frankly, just utterly forgettable in every way imaginable, and the only reason that I won't ultimately give this record a particularly horrible score is because of the fact that I can barely remember it. Again, like I said before, you will remember something truly god-awful, but you will never remember something as uninspired and bland as Captured Angel. What is maybe most surprising to me, however, about Captured Angel is just how average its lyricism is overall. While Dan Fogelberg has never really been considered one of the greats of folk or folk rock or whatever similar genres, he definitely does get his credentials as a songwriter from a lot of different publications and a lot of different very well-respected individuals within the music industry, and I don't think I quite understand why. I mean, songs like Next Time, for example, just feel like painfully unremarkable lyricism that goes in one ear and out the other repeatedly after multiple listens. There are songs here that try to come off as inspirational or heartbroken or very emotionally powerful, but they're just not, and they are so corny and cheesy, and paired with that just viciously 70s soft rock kind of sound and production, feels like Weird Al's parody of the sound more than it does an actual album from the time period. Also, just so we're aware, me calling something sounding like a Weird Al parody, it's not a compliment. It should be, ultimately, but unfortunately, it's not. While I do enjoy very positive lyricism, and I am a big fan of lyricism in general within my music, I feel like Dan Fogelberg is less genuine in his writing and more just taking random stabs at being sickly sweet or sickly powerful in terms of emotion, and none of it ends up working because of that. This entire record feels like it's written so forcefully, nothing feels like it came natural from Fogelberg, and he almost doesn't feel like a real person. It feels like this record was just a bunch of crappy soft rock albums from the early 70s put into a modern AI generator like a computer, and then it just spat back out a bunch of binary code, and once you translated it over to a vinyl record, you just got this album. I mean, God, it's almost impressive how little Dan Fogelberg manages to achieve on Captured Angel. He quite literally does nothing here. Even artists that I personally dislike, like the aforementioned Carole King, were still talented individuals that didn't just suit my tastes in any particular way, but they were people that were able to say important things, even if I just didn't happen to like the way that they were said. However, Dan Fogelberg feels like he's a man who a recording studio found on the street looking for the single least interesting human being they could find and just shoved him into a recording studio, put a bunch of instruments and backing tracks in front of him and said, hey, write some songs that about your interesting life, when in fact he is already accomplished nothing, so he has nothing to write about, and that's just genuinely what Captured Angel feels like. And for a record with such a dramatic title, there's nothing remotely dramatic about the album, and the couple of times here or there that it feels like it might be building up to something more than it is, it just kind of fizzles back out again. A lot of the album feels purposeless and dreadfully boring, but I can't even call certain songs filler because the entire record feels like filler. There's not a single reason for every single song on this album to exist. There's nothing achieved here in the form of an actual album, there's nothing from song to song that's being done well. There's nothing individually done that's super well. There's nothing here. This is one of the ultimate nothing albums. Nothing is achieved by Dan Fogelberg, and it's obvious that he isn't capable of doing anything because he's simply not an interesting person. And while it's fine to make music if you don't have anything interesting to say, the least you could do would be an engaging performer with some strong instrumentals to back you up. But Dan Fogelberg has the audacity, and his record label for that matter, has the audacity to allow this to be released with no interesting instrumentation or compositional work, Dan Fogelberg being a completely boring and unremarkable performer, and his lyricism being subpar at best. It just truly baffles me that this was actually allowed out into the world of music. So, overall, Captured Angel can be sort of pinpointed at various levels of pointlessness, which ranges from mildly uninteresting to frustratingly unremarkable, unneeded even. If I'm being honest, there were genuinely times where I wondered why I was listening to Captured Angel when I could easily just listen to Jackson Browne or Gordon Lightfoot or the plethora of more talented singer-songwriter types from the same exact period of music. With that being said, I am going to give Captured Angel 2.5 stars out of 5. There's nothing offensively bad about the record. If anything, it's only offensively inoffensive. But at the same time, it's not worth my time, it's not worth your time, it's not worth anybody's time, it's not even worth Dan Fogelberg's time, it wasn't worth his record label's time. It's just not an album that I would recommend to anybody. There are so many other alternative options for this kind of sound that I would happily recommend to people over this. This is just bland, dull, I don't know, every other word that goes along with bland and dull. Synonyms abound, plenty of words to describe just how unremarkable Captured Angel is as a record. So yeah, 2.5 stars out of 5. And with that being said, that's the end of this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.